So here, in my view, is Maryland's choice. There are countries that have basically decided that what they are out to do is to create broadly shared prosperity for their entire population. They have come to the conclusion that the only way to do that is to build an economy that does not compete with other countries on price. It competes on quality and value added. And once you have made that decision as a country, as a state, as a province, you know for sure the only way that you can compete on quality is to have a very high quality workforce. Not all countries by any means have made that decision. Many others are competing on price, the price of wages or the price of their products, which turns out, by the way, to be pretty much the same thing. And for them, there's no compelling argument to invest in the skills of their people. In fact, the more they invest, the more uncompetitive they become because they have to spend money on education that they could otherwise save and have lower prices. So in our view, the most important decision that Maryland has to make is how it wants to relate to the rest of the world and what kind of economy it wants for its people. If you decide that you want broadly shared prosperity, you want a technology-driven economy, you want to compete on quality and not on price, then you only have one choice left, and that is to have an education and job training system which matches the best in the world, because otherwise you'll fail. That's the essential logic. Okay, so let's see what that would actually, what happened? So let's see what would happen if you chose broadly shared prosperity, competing on quality, competing on the basis of having one of the best workforces in the entire globe. What did the countries that made that decision actually do? That's the question. What strategies did they pursue to get there? And a very explicit decision that they made was not to double down on the model that we invented 100 years ago. Inexpensive teachers and low standards. That was a model that was designed to turn out people with a 7th or 8th grade level of literacy because that was the kind of economy that we had then. If you had a 7th or 8th grade level of literacy, you could work in a retail store, you could work on the floor in a steel mill, and you could run a farm, which is what most of the people did. They knew that they weren't going to be able to offer those jobs anymore. Those jobs were going elsewhere, either to countries that were trying to compete on price or to the machines. And they made a decision that they had to provide to virtually all of their kids a kind and quality of education that had until then been made available only to their elites. And because they didn't have any more money, they knew they would have to do this for the same amount of money they had been spending. And that meant they needed to redesign their system.